This video might not be for everyone, and I thought about that before making it. I thought maybe I shouldn't say this stuff out loud, maybe it's too personal, but then I thought about a younger version of me, sitting in that classroom, going home after school feeling like something was wrong with him, not understanding why the people around him made him feel so small. And I thought if someone had made this video back then, it would have changed everything. So this one is for that version of me, and if you're watching this and you recognize yourself in what I'm about to say, maybe this one is for you too. And let's talk about fake friends, about being bullied, the fear of being alone, and about what it actually takes to get out. You see, from primary school through middle school and into the first year of high school up until 10th grade or something before I moved to a different high school, I've got bullied, like a lot, consistently, by my classmates. And I want to be careful here because I'm not telling you this to play the victim. I genuinely believe that period built something in me, it shaped who I am, and I don't regret it immediately. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't also hold me back in ways I'm still figuring out. Because here's the part that cuts the deepest. It wasn't strangers doing it, it was my friends, the people I sat with at lunch, the people I called when I was bored, and the people I spent hours with online playing games, talking about nothing, you know, those people. I mean, I play video games. I don't play video games unless I have to, just for a game, playing for content, that's it. You can do that as well, it isn't a problem. And there was a specific memory I keep coming back to about 2 years ago, when I was in a bad place, like such a pussy, you know. Not the worst I've ever been, but close to that. And I started to feel something shift inside me, like a quiet voice saying, you need to do something, like you need to change. So I told my friends that I wanted to do something with my life, that I wanted to actually build something or improve, you know, growing, and they laughed. Not a mean laugh or a dramatic one, just a dismissive one, like what I said was the funniest thing they'd heard all week. And then none of them said, relax, you've got your whole life, come play with us, you know. I think you went through, you can relate to this. And I remember sitting there and feeling something I couldn't name at the time. Now I can name it. It was the feeling of being invisible in a room full of people who were supposed to know you. You know exactly what I'm talking about, don't you? That group where every conversation is about video games or the past or nothing at all, and the one time you try to bring up something real, something that about the future, something that actually matters, the room goes quiet, or even worse, they laugh. And you learn slowly without anyone ever saying it directly. Your growth is not welcome there. And I kept staying, not because I was happy, but because I was terrified of the alternative. What if I left and found no one? Or what if being alone was worse than this? I was so afraid of leaving that group of people. I mean, I had that fear of loneliness. So I told myself the story that a lot of you are probably telling yourself that right now. They're just joking, or that's how we are with each other, it's fine. But the truth, it wasn't fine. The difference between me and them was already becoming visible. They wanted to play every new game that came out, flex the new PC, talking about nothing that mattered. And I get it, that's not inherently wrong, but I didn't want that anymore. I wanted something different, and I had a lower budget, so even on their terms, I didn't fit. I didn't belong there, I just didn't know how to live. And here's what nobody tells you about toxic friends. You don't stay in that group because you're stupid, but because of a loop. The loop sounds like, they are not that bad, they're just joking, like if I leave I have no one, and no one is worse than this, so I'll stay, and they make fun of me again. But they're not that bad, they're just joking, round and round. I live in that loop for years, and the loop is held together by one thing, the fear of loneliness, and is one of the most powerful fears a human being can feel, especially when you're young, especially when school is your whole world, and the people in it feel like they're all there is. The logical part of if your brain knows these people don't actually want me to grow, they get uncomfortable when I try to talk about something real and they make me feel small, but then the fear kicks in. But what if this isn't? What if this is all I get? And so you shrink yourself and you go back talking about playing video games, you laugh at jokes at your own expense, you cut yourself down before they get the chance to, and slowly, without even noticing, you start to become the version of yourself that fits inside the group. Smaller, quieter, and less ambitious, and less you, less authenticity. And I watch it happen to me. And looking back, it terrifies me how close I came to staying there forever. There was also another layer to this, the online. When I finally started to pull away physically, and I thought that would be enough, but they could still see me. I'd be online still playing occasionally, and even through a screen. The comments, the jokes, the tone, it followed me. Distance alone doesn't fix it. Not if you're still the same person inside, not if you haven't changed anything. That realization was the turning point. Alright, how do you actually get rid of this group of people? Well, there are 3 steps. Let's get into what you actually do about this. Step number 1, you change the environment. And I want to be honest with you here. There's no easy version of this. There's no hack. There's no way to do this without it being uncomfortable. But I'm going to give you the real steps, the one that actually work. So change your environment, and by this I mean physically. Get out of the space where these people are if you can. Different school, different neighborhood, different gym, whatever you have access to use it. But, and this is critical, changing the environment alone does nothing if you don't change yourself first. I saw this with my own eyes. I had classmates who moved schools because of bullying, same versions of themselves. No new habits, no new mindset, nothing different on the inside. And within weeks, the same dynamic emerged. Different people, same story. Because the environment doesn't bully you. The version of you that you are walking around as it what attracts or repels certain dynamics. So yes, change the environment, absolutely, get out. But do it alongside the internal work, not instead of it. Moving schools, cities, cutting off the group, those are powerful moves. But they only work when the person making those moves is already becoming something different. I moved, it helps enormously, but it helps because I also starting changing a bit everywhere else at the same time, which brings you up to step number 2, change your habits. Here's the brutal truth about why I stay stuck for so long. My habits and their habits were identical. We played the same games, ate the same garbage food, spent our time the same way. Of course we were in the same group, of course I couldn't leave. We were built from the same materials. And the moment I started changing my habits, genuinely, not just talking about it, everything else began to shift. I stopped playing video games as much, not because games are evil, but because I was using them to hide, to avoid, to stay comfortable inside the life I already knew wasn't working. And then I started going to the gym, reading, started thinking about the future, actually thinking about it, not just daydreaming. I stopped eating junk consistently. I started building something even if I didn't fully know what yet. And here's what happened that I didn't expect. The group started drifting away from me on its own. I didn't have to have a dramatic conversation. I didn't have to announce anything. I just stopped showing up the same way. And when you stop showing up the same way, people who only connected with the old version of you don't know what to do. And they'd call me to play. I'd say no again and again and so on. And slowly, the calls stopped. The connection faded, not with anger, not with conflict, it just dissolved because there was nothing left holding it together. And this is important to understand. Your habits determine your circle, always. You will naturally gravitate toward people who are doing that what you're doing. If you're spending your evenings gaming, you'll be surrounded by people who spend their evenings gaming, drinking alcohol, doing drugs, smoking, and whatever it is. If you're spending your evenings at the gym reading and so on, you know what I'm saying, you'll find people who do the same. I didn't have to go looking for a new group. The new group found me because I became the kind of person they recognize. And I'll say something here that I mean completely completely. I now have people around me who actually want me to win. People I'd call brothers. Not a big group or massive social circles, but some real ones. People who push me, people who don't flinch when I talk about goals and growth. People who are building too. And this is available to you, but only on the other side of changing who you are. So first, you really must change your identity. If you're watching this and you have people in your life right now who laughs when you talk about goals, I need you to hear this clearly. They are not your friends. I don't say that to be hard. I say it because someone should have said it to me years earlier. A real friend, even if they don't fully understand your version, doesn't laugh at it. A real friend doesn't need you to stay small so they can feel comfortable. The moment you accept that, everything changes. Right, so the third step, one of the most crucial ones in my opinion, is learn to impose yourself. This step is the one nobody wants to talk about because it sounds aggressive, but it's not. It's self-respect made visible. Man, you have to learn to impose yourself. Let me tell you a story. Like when I first started going to the gym, the first month of the worst one, as I like to call, barely knew what I was doing. I met a guy, same high school as me, and I could tell immediately that he clocked me as an inexperienced and a pretty unstable beginner guy. And he asked me to give him a spot. I didn't even know what spotting was. And another time, I asked him what exercise he was doing, and I thought it was chest, but actually it was a shoulder from a completely different machine. And I saw in his eyes he made a judgment, a label on me. And for a while, he treated me accordingly. But here's what changed. I kept showing up, I got better, learned, I grew physically and mentally, and without me having to say a single word about it, the dynamic shifted. He started treating me differently with more respect because I had become someone who commanded it. That's what imposing yourself actually means. It's not about being aggressive, it's not about being a bully, but it's about becoming someone who can be dismissed. And here are two components to this. You need both, not one or the other or both. The first is physical. I'm not telling you that you need to be the biggest person in the room, but you need to be someone who has physical presence, someone who takes up space, someone who, when they say no, looks like they mean it with their whole body. Train, build, not to intimidate, but to stop being someone who can be easily pushed around. The second is the word no. You have to learn when to say no. This one is deceptively simple and incredibly difficult, man. I've gotta be honest with you. You have to learn to say no to the game sessions, to the jokes at your expense, to the situations that make you small. And you have to say it clearly without apologizing or softening with. When someone crosses a line, and you'll know when they cross it, you say it calmly, directly. Look man, I don't like this. This isn't something I allowed. Like, not aggressive, not dramatic, just a clear no. And here's the thing, those two components work together. If you can say no but you look like someone who can be physically dismissed, they'll test you. And if you're physically imposing but you never say no, they'll just keep pushing because there are no consequences. Man, one doesn't work if it's you need both of them, and the boundary and the present to back it up. I tried to impulse myself when I was younger, but I genuinely tried, but I was physically weaker than most of them, and I hadn't built the mental clarity to hold the line consistently, so it didn't work. They pushed me back and I folded. And the difference now is that both things are in place. Not perfectly, I'm still building, but enough that the dynamic is completely different. Let me be clear about something. This doesn't mean becoming cold, it doesn't mean losing your personality. Man, you can still be funny, you can still be warm, outgoing, and someone who laughs easily. But there is a line between being someone who laughs with people and being the joke. Never, ever, ever become the joke. You can laugh at yourself. That's actually a sign of security of someone who doesn't take themselves too seriously. But the moment you sense that the laughter is no longer with you and is now at you, man, you stop it right there, no hesitation. Like, you should be like, man, that's enough, we're done with that one, and you move on. Respect isn't given, it isn't asked for, it's established through consistency, presence, the quiet certainty of someone who knows where the line is. Also, I want to come back to something I mentioned at the beginning, because I think it's the real reason most people stay stuck in situations they know aren't good for them. The fear of being alone. Man, I gotta be honest with you, I felt it deeply. Every time I thought about leaving that group, there was this voice, quiet but persistent, that said, what if this is it? What if there's nothing on the other side of this? And I want to talk to you directly if you're feeling that right now. That fear is real. I'm not going to pretend it isn't, because loneliness, I know how it feels. It's painful, especially when you're young, especially when you look around and it seems like everyone else has figured out how to belong somewhere. But here's what I learned, and I need you to actually sit with this. Remember, temporary loneliness is infinitely better than permanent smallness. The loneliness you feel when you leave a group that was holding you back, it fades. It has a timeline. And the other side of it, there are people who actually see you, people who want what you want, people who will push you instead of pulling you down. But if you stay, that's the smallness compounds. Every year you spend with people who laugh at your ambition is a year you get further from you could have been. I made a choice eventually to live for myself, and I say that without any bitterness toward the people I left behind. I mean, if any of them are watching this genuinely, I have no anger. I just chose a different direction. But I almost didn't. I almost stayed. And that thought still gets to me sometimes. So yeah, don't let the fear of an empty table stop you from building a better one. So overall, if you're being bullied by classmates, people you thought were your friends first, it is not a reflection of your worth. It never was. It's a reflection of where you are right now, and where you are right now is not permanent. And remember, change your environment, get out of the physical space if you can, but do it while also changing yourself, or it won't stick. Change your habits. This is the real work. Gym, reading, the future thinking, the slow elimination of everything that was keeping you comfortable and small. Your habits will build your new cycle. You don't have to go looking for better people. Become the kind of person they are naturally drawn to. And learn to impose yourself. Build your physical presence. Learn to say no and establish where your line is and hold it calmly and clearly without apology. And underneath all of it, underneath every step, you have to be willing to sit with the discomfort of living. The fear of loneliness is real, but it's also the price of becoming who you're supposed to be. I made that trade, and it was the best decision of my life. I hope something in this video hit you the way I needed it to hit me back then. So yeah, I hope I could make your life at least 1% better, and see you in the next time.